Welcome back. Even though JSON value function gives us the ability to parse a JSON document and turn that into rows and columns, there are some limitations with that. As we saw, it's difficult to define data types for the column, so you'll have to use the cast function to do that. And also, if you have an array within your JSON document, you can go and pick a specific occurrence of the array. But you can't really explore an entire array, which is normally what you would need in a lot of circumstances. And I would say it's not the most efficient function. Synapse provides an alternative called OpenJSON. OpenJSON is a table-valued function which takes a JSON document and turns its objects and properties into rows and columns. This is more powerful than the JSON value function, for example. It's more efficient. You might not notice the difference when you're dealing with small amount of data, but when you're dealing with huge amount of data, OpenJSON is a far more efficient function compared to JSON value function. And also with the OpenJSON function, you can specify data types instead of using cast and select statements, and also it'll exploit arrays when you have them within your data or within your JSON documents and also within the with clause. You can explicitly list the columns and you can rename the columns if required, and you can specify the data types as well. So in summary, it's more performant as well as it provides richer functionality compared to the JSON value function. So let's look at applying that to our payment type file in order to understand it better. Let's copy this equal statement and make the corresponding changes to remove the JSON value function and replace it with the OpenJSON function. So the first thing I want to do is to remove these JSON value functions, and I'm going to replace that with the star. And just to keep the SQL tidy and smaller, I'm going to remove these default parameters which be kept for the open row set, which is like the path of version and a terminator. We're all familiar now what they mean. So I'm just removing them so it looks smaller. Let's now look at how to use the OpenJSON function. As we said, OpenJSON function requires JSON document and it turns that into rows and columns. We already have the JSON document, and open this in function can be used to and from clause. So I'm going to call the OpenJSON function here, but I'm going to do a cross apply so that it gets joined with the results from here and will fill in the JSON document into the OpenJSON function. So all we have done is we've taken the JSON documents that comes out and you open row set and put that into the OpenJSON function. So the OpenJSON function will pass the JSON document and get the properties and values. So you're going to get some key values and you can turn that key values into column names. But before we do that, let's just try and run it and see what comes out, and then we can make the corresponding changes. Let's do that here. And what we should see is the JSON document here. Each of the JSON documents, as you can see, the payment type 1 and the description as credit card has come through, and then we've got the key value pairs. So it's put it out the payment type attribute and the value and the payment type describe description and the value on the next record. But we need to turn these into column names. To do that, you'll have to specify them in the with clause. So let me show you how to do that. You come over here and then, similar to what we did before, you will have to just use the with clause. So let's do the with clause. So if I run this one, we should get the results as we expect. So that is the JSON document with the payment type and the description. But you can choose to just select the payment type and the payment description, which you can do here. So let me do those. And your output will be, as you would expect, a table with just the payment types and descriptions. So that's what you're seeing here. So payment type is 1 description, credit card, and 2 is cash and things like that. So you've got the 6 records, and it's quite simple, and as you can see, you can specify the data types quite explicitly here, like we do with the CSV files. There's one more thing I want to quickly show you. In a lot of scenarios, you might want to rename your columns. For example, you want to rename this column into description rather than payment type description. In order to do that, what you would do is actually call that description, and then you need to specify the property within JSON documents. So that is $date payment type description. And it should take that value of the property and put it into that column and give you that column name. And you want to specify that in the select as well. And when you do it and run it, You should see the column name as description. Hope you've got a good understanding about the OpenJSON function now. If you're wondering what cross-apply is just a join, so that's equivalent to inner join conditions. So in this case, what we've done is we've taken the output from here, which is the 6 records, and then joined to the output of the table value add function OpenJSON, which would have the rows and columns equivalent for the JSON document, and we've given those outputs here. So that's the end of this session. I'll see you in the next one.